SingleDad, SingleMom co-parenting series. Co-parenting rules that actually keep the peace. Not theories, not textbook advice. Rules from the trenches tested by real single parents. Let me ask you something, and I want you to be honest. Not with me, but with yourself. Have you ever said something about your child's other parent in front of your child and immediately wished you could take it back? Have you ever used a pickup or drop-off as a battleground? Fought over a schedule change through text messages at midnight while your kids were asleep in the next room? Felt your chest tighten the moment you see that name pop up on your phone? If any of that is yes, and for most of us it is all of it, then welcome. This episode is for you. This is SingleDad, SingleMom, the channel that tells the truth about raising kids alone, because the truth is the only thing that actually helps. Today we are talking about co-parenting. Specifically, we are talking about the rules that actually keep the peace, not the ones in the parenting books, not the ones a therapist writes on a whiteboard, the ones that real single parents have learned the hard, expensive, and exhausting way. Because here is what nobody tells you when you become a co-parent. Co-parenting is not about your relationship with your ex. It is not about what they did. It is not about who was right, who was wrong, or who deserves an apology they will never give. Co-parenting is entirely 100% about your children. And the moment you understand that, truly understand it, not just nod along to it, everything changes. So today I'm going to give you 10 co-parenting rules. Rules I have seen work. Rules backed by research. Rules shared by single parents in this community who are doing the hard, quiet, unglamorous work of raising healthy children in 2 households. Some of these rules will be uncomfortable. Some of them will make you think of someone specific. Some of them might even make you realize you have been the problem in a situation or two. If that happens, good, that is growth. That is the whole point. Stay with me. This one matters. If you are new here, hit subscribe right now. Every week on this channel, we bring you real conversations about single parent life, money, kids, mental health, relationships, and everything in between. You did not find this channel by accident. Tap subscribe and stay. Rule 1. Your child is not your messenger. Rule 1. Your child is not your messenger. Rule 1. Your child is not your messenger. Never use your child to deliver messages, gather information, or communicate with the other parent. Every time you do, you place your child in the middle of adult conflict, and that is where anxiety, loyalty, guilt, and behavioral issues are born. Rule number 1, and this one I need you to hear clearly. Your child is not your messenger. This sounds obvious. Every co-parenting article you have ever read says this. And yet it is one of the most common things that happens in separated households, often without parents even realizing. They are doing it. It sounds like, tell your dad that child support was late again. It sounds like, ask your mom if she remembered to pack your asthma inhaler. It sounds like, did your father say anything about Christmas plans? Every single one of those sentences puts your child in a position they were never designed to hold. You are asking them to carry adult weight in a child-sized body. Real story, Marcus and Destiny. Marcus is a single dad of 2, a 7-year-old boy named Elijah and a 10-year-old girl named Amara. For the first year after the separation, Marcus and his ex-wife Destiny communicated almost entirely through Amara. Amara, being the older child and naturally responsible, became the family's unofficial courier. She carried messages, reported back what she saw at each house, and absorbed every reaction from both parents. By the time Amara turned 11, she had developed severe anxiety. She stopped eating dinner at her mom's house because she was worried about what she might have to report to her dad. It was the school counselor who finally said it plainly. Amara is not anxious about school. She is anxious about being caught in the middle of 2 people she loves. Marcus told me, the worst part was that I never once sat down and said, go be my spy. I just asked questions, normal questions, I thought. But to her, every question was another thing she had to manage. Research from the American Psychological Association confirms what Marcus learned. The hard way, children who are regularly used as messengers between parents show significantly higher rates of anxiety, depression, and what psychologists call loyalty conflict, the painful feeling of loving two people who seem to be at war. So, what do you do instead? You communicate directly. You use a co-parenting app, our family wizard, Talking Parents, or even a simple dedicated email address used only for co-parenting communication. You text the other parent. You make a call. It does not have to be pleasant. It just has to happen between adults, not through children. Rule 1. Your child is not your messenger. They are not your informant. They are not your emotional support animal for the co-parenting war. They are your child. Protect that. Rule 2. Never speak negatively about the other parent. Rule 2. Never speak negatively about the other parent. In front of your child, what your child hears you say about their other parent, they internalize about themselves. Your child is 50% of that person. When you attack the other parent, a part of your child feels attacked. I want to talk about something that is going to be uncomfortable, and I say that with love because this community is built on honesty. A lot of us talk about our exes in ways we should not, in front of our kids. Sometimes it is obvious, an outright insult, a frustrated rant at the dinner table, but more often it is subtle. It is a sigh, a roll of the eyes, a comment to your best friend on the phone while your child is supposedly asleep in the next room. And I am not surprised when the other parent is late. That is just how your father is, delivered with a tone that says everything. Children are not just listening to your words, they are listening to your energy. They pick up everything. Real story, Simone. Age 34. Simone raised her daughter Jade largely alone after her ex-partner walked out when Jade was 3. For years, Simone was careful. She never said anything openly cruel. But she would go quiet when Jade mentioned her dad. She would change the subject. She would say things like, "We don't need to talk about him." When Jade was 15, she sat her mother down and said something Simone has never forgotten. "Mom, when you go quiet about Dad, I feel like there is something wrong with me for loving him. Like I am not allowed to. Like loving him is a betrayal of you." Simone told this story in our community group with tears in her eyes. She said, "I thought I was protecting her by staying silent, but silence can be just as loud as words." Here's the science behind why this matters so deeply. Studies published in the Journal of Child Development show that children who regularly hear one parent criticized by the other are more likely to struggle with their own self-worth, form unhealthy relationship patterns as adults, and experience depression in their teenage years. Why? Because your child is made of both of you. When you attack the other parent, a part of your child hears, "Part of me is bad, part of me is unlovable, part of me is the thing you despise." You can feel everything you feel about your ex. Every ounce of it is valid. You are allowed your anger, your grief, your frustration, your betrayal. But feel it with your therapist. Feel it with your best friend. Feel it in your car on the way home, not in front of your child. Rule 2, your child's relationship with their other parent is theirs to have, not yours to manage, destroy, or interrupt. Your job is to protect it even when it is the last thing you want to do. Rule 3, consistency is the gift your child cannot ask for. Rule 3, consistency is the gift your child cannot ask for. Unpredictable schedules, broken promises, and last-minute changes create anxiety in children that follows them into adulthood. Consistent routines, even imperfect ones, build the safety and trust that children need to thrive. If I could give every child of a broken home one single gift, it would not be a bigger bedroom or more toys or a holiday abroad. It would be this: knowing what is going to happen next. Consistency, predictability, the quiet, boring, revolutionary gift of a child, knowing that Tuesday is Dad's night, that they go back to Mom on Sunday at 5, that bedtime is 8:30 at both houses, and that neither parent is going to blow up the schedule because of adult emotions. Here is what happens in children's brains when their environment is unpredictable. Their nervous system stays in a state of low-level alert. They never fully relax. They become hypervigilant, always scanning for the next disruption. This is not dramatic. This is biology. The human brain, especially a developing one, is wired to threat, assess its environment constantly. When that environment keeps changing based on adult conflict, the child's brain treats every handoff, every schedule change, every tense text message between parents as a potential threat. Over time, this wires the brain for anxiety, not sometimes, predictably. Real story: David, single dad of 3. David and his ex-wife had what he described as a fluid schedule, no fixed days. They would figure it out week by week. David thought this showed flexibility and maturity. His ex agreed it was easier than a rigid court schedule. What they did not realize was that their 8-year-old son, Kofi, was waking up every Sunday morning and asking his grandmother, "Am I going to Dad's today or staying here?" Every Sunday, without fail. Kofi could not tell you the name of his teacher that year, but he could feel deep in his chest the specific anxiety of not knowing where he would be sleeping on any given night. Once David and his ex agreed on a fixed schedule, even though it was less convenient for both adults, Kofi's teacher noticed the change within 3 weeks. He was calmer. He was concentrating better. He stopped picking fights at recess. David said, "I thought I was being flexible for Kofi. I was actually being flexible for myself and asking him to carry the uncertainty." Practically speaking, what does consistency look like in co-parenting? A written, agreed custody schedule that both parents follow, in writing, even if it is just a shared Google Calendar. A rule that schedule changes require at least 72 hours, notice except in genuine emergencies. Consistent bedtimes and homework routines at both houses. Children should not feel like one house has rules and the other is a free-for-all. Honoring commitments. If you say you will be there at 5, be there at 5. Every broken promise chips away at trust that is already fragile. Rule 3. Consistency is not a rigid cage. It is a container that makes your child feel safe enough to be a child. Build it, protect it, prioritize it over your own convenience. If this is connecting with you, if you are sitting there thinking about your situation, I want you to drop a comment below. Tell me, what is the hardest part of co-parenting for you right now? Not to vent, not to fight, but because every question you ask helps me make content that actually serves this community. And if someone you know needs to hear this today, share this video right now. It might be the most important thing you do for them this week. Rule 4. Communication must be businesslike, not emotional. Rule 4. Treat co-parenting communication like a business relationship. The moment co-parenting communication becomes emotional, it stops being about the child and starts being about the adults. BIFF method: brief, informative, friendly, firm. This is how you communicate with a difficult co-parent. Let me try something. I want you to imagine your co-parent as a colleague, not your best friend, not your enemy. Just a colleague, someone you work with professionally to accomplish a shared goal. Because here is the truth, that is exactly what they are now. You are both employed in the same job, raising your child. You happen to work different shifts. You do not have to like each other. You do not have to be friends. You do not have to forgive everything that happened. You just have to be professional enough to do the job well. Most co-parenting communication breaks down the moment it stops being about the child and starts being about the relationship, about old wounds, about unresolved anger, about who is right. So I want to give you a framework. It is called the BIFF method: brief, informative, friendly, firm. Brief, keep it short. You are not writing a novel. You are coordinating logistics. Informative, stick to the facts, times, dates, locations, medical information, no editorializing. Friendly, not warm, not cold, neutral. The tone of a professional email to a colleague you respect, but do not particularly like. Firm, you are not asking permission, you are communicating. State what is happening, not what you are hoping they will allow. Text, exchange. The wrong way versus the right way. Wrong: I can't believe you signed Jalen up for Saturday soccer without asking me. I have him that weekend, and now I have to rearrange my entire day. This is exactly what you always do. Right: Hi, just saw the soccer registration. Jalen is with me this Saturday. Please coordinate future Saturday activities with me first, so I can plan accordingly. Thank you. Same situation, completely different outcomes. The first message starts a war. The second one solves a problem. The only difference is the first one was written for the parent. The second one was written for the child. There is a practical tool that changed everything for a lot of parents in this community. Co-parenting apps. Our Family Wizard, Talking Parents, and A Close are three of the best. They keep all communication in one place, log everything automatically. And some of them even have a tone checker that tells you. If your message sounds hostile before you send it, that last feature has saved more than a few parents from themselves at 11 o'clock at night. Rule 4. Your feelings about your ex are valid. But co-parenting communication is not the place for them. Keep it brief. Keep it about the child. BIFF every message before you hit send. Rule 5. Never use your child as a weapon or a reward. Rule 5. Never use your child as a weapon or a reward. Withholding access, using visitation as leverage, or rewarding compliance with extra time are all forms of child weaponization. The person who suffers most is never the other parent. It is always the child. This next rule is the one that I see cause the most damage. Long-term, deep, bone-level damage to children. And I am going to say it plainly because this community deserves plain truth. Using your child as a weapon or as a reward is one of the most harmful things you can do as a co-parent. It looks like this. You didn't pay this month, so you're not seeing them this weekend. If you want extra time with her, you'll sign that paper first. I'll let him go to the game with you, but you owe me. Since you missed the last 2 calls, don't expect me to make the next handoff easy. Every single one of those sentences sounds like an adult standing up for themselves. And underneath every single one of them, a child is being used as a bargaining chip in a conflict they did not create and cannot escape. Real story, Teresa, single mom of 1. Teresa's ex, Robert, had been inconsistent with child support. 2 months behind, then caught up, then behind again. Teresa was exhausted and furious, rightfully so. And one Friday she told her 9-year-old daughter, Mia, that Daddy was not coming because he had not been responsible. Mia cried for 4 hours. Not because she understood child support, because at 9 years old her brain translated what her mother said into one simple, devastating sentence. Dad doesn't love me enough to come. Robert had a payment problem. Mia experienced it as an abandonment. Teresa told me years later, I wanted to hurt him, and I did, but I also hurt Mia, and she was the one person I would never have wanted to hurt. I have spent years trying to undo that one Friday. Child support is a legal matter. Handle it through legal channels. Visitation is a child's right. Protect it regardless of what the other parent does. Here is the principle behind this rule, and it is non-negotiable. Financial disputes between adults go through legal system, not through children's weekends. Adult grievances get processed in adult spaces, not at pick-up and drop-off. Your child's access to their other parent is not a currency. It is not leverage. It is a human need as fundamental as food and safety. Rule 5. No matter what the other parent does or does not do, your child's relationship with them is sacred. You do not touch it. You do not weaponize it. You do not reward with it. You protect it. Even when protecting it costs you. Rule 6. Attend events as parents, not as exes. Rule 6. Show up to your child's events as a parent, not as an ex. School plays, sports games, graduations. Your child needs to see both parents in the same room behaving like adults. The discomfort you feel being near your ex for 2 hours is nothing compared to what your child feels when you are not there. I want to paint you a picture, and I want you to sit inside it for a moment. Your child is standing on a stage, or crossing a finish line, or accepting an award, or scoring their first goal. And the first thing they do before the smile fully forms, before the crowd reacts, is scan the room for you, both of you. That scan takes less than 2 seconds. But what they find in those 2 seconds shapes something inside them. When both parents are there, even if they are on opposite sides of the room, even if they do not acknowledge each other, even if they both go home separately without saying a word. The child's brain registers, I am loved by both my parents. My family, even in its new shape, shows up for me. When one parent is missing because the adults could not manage to be in the same building for 90 minutes, the child registers something else, something quieter and much more lasting. Real story, Andre, age 42, single dad. Andre had not been in the same room as his ex-wife Priya for 2 years after the divorce. Things were acrimonious, lawyers had been involved, words had been said that could not be unsaid. His daughter Nia's 5th grade graduation was coming up. Andre told me he almost did not go. I knew Priya would be there with her new partner. I told myself Nia would understand. His own mother stopped him at the door. She said, Andre, Naya is not graduating for you or Priya. She is graduating for herself. You go in there, you sit down, you clap. That's the whole job today. Andre went. He sat on the left. Priya sat on the right. When Nia walked across the stage and got her certificate, she looked left, then right, and she smiled the specific smile of a child who has been told, without a single word, that she is loved by everyone who made her. In the car on the way home, she said to Andre, Dad, I'm really glad you came. She did not say, I'm glad you and Mom were civil, she said. I'm glad you came. Calm. Dabe shingonle. That is what children remember, not the conflict, the showing up, practical rules for shared events. Arrive separately if needed. Same event. Different entrances is fine. Sit in different sections if the space allows, no forced proximity. A brief neutral acknowledgement is enough. A nod, a hello, you do not owe a conversation. Do not bring your conflict to the event. No tense looks, no whispered arguments, no involving other family members. Leave separately, no parking lot confrontations. Rule 6. You are not attending as an ex. You are attending as a parent. Those are completely different roles. Play the right one. Hubby. You are halfway through and I need you to do something right now. If this is speaking to your situation, if you are in a co-parenting arrangement that feels more like a war than a partnership, subscribe to this channel. Because next week we are going deeper into the legal side of co-parenting, what your rights actually are, and how to protect them without destroying your child in the process. Hit subscribe, hit the bell. Do not miss it. Rule 7, respect the other household's rules. Rule 7, respect the other household's rules. Rule 7, respect the other household, even when you disagree with it. 2 households do not have to run identically. Different rules, different routines, different parenting styles are normal. Constantly undermining the other household's authority creates a child who respects neither parent. All right. I know what some of you are thinking right now. But their house has no structure. They let the kids stay up until midnight. There is no homework routine. They eat fast food 4 nights a week. My ex has no discipline and the kids come back to me like feral animals every Monday morning. I hear you. I genuinely hear you. And here is the truth. Unless what is happening in the other household constitutes danger, abuse, or neglect, you do not have jurisdiction over it. That house is not your house. Those rules are not your rules. And when you undermine the other parent's household rules in front of your children, when you say, well, at my house we do it properly, or I don't care what they let you do there, that doesn't happen here with that specific tone. You are teaching your child to disrespect authority, not just theirs, eventually yours too. Real situation, Jamie, single mom of twins. Jamie's ex-husband had a very relaxed approach to screen time. 2 hours a night at Jamie's house became unlimited weekends at Dad's. Jamie was frustrated. She spent months making comments to her children, to mutual friends, in indirect ways that somehow always got back to her ex. Her 12-year-old son eventually said to her, Mom, Dad's house has different rules. It's okay, I know the difference. It stopped Jamie cold. Her son, 12 years old, had already developed the emotional intelligence to navigate 2 different environments without needing his mother to validate his frustration. Children are remarkably adaptable. What they need is not for both houses to be identical. What they need is for both parents to be stable, consistent, and not at war with each other's household. There are things that genuinely require intervention, safety concerns, medical neglect, physical harm. Those are not this rule. Those are legal matters, and you pursue them through the proper channels. But bedtime being 30 minutes later, a different food philosophy, homework done before dinner versus after, a messier bedroom, different weekend activities. Let it go. Your child is more resilient than you think. Rule 7, 2 houses, 2 sets of rules. That is not chaos, that is reality. Your job is to run your house well, not to audit theirs. Rule 8, put every agreement in writing. Rule 8, put every agreement in writing. Verbal co-parenting agreements are goodwill agreements. They depend on both parties remaining goodwill partners. Written agreements, formal or informal, remove ambiguity, reduce conflict, and protect children from adults changing their minds. This rule does not require lawyers. It does not require court. It does not require any formal legal process, though if your situation is complex, I strongly encourage you to get one. This rule simply requires that you write things down. The schedule, the holiday arrangements, who pays for what extracurricular, how medical decisions get made, who is responsible for school pickups during special circumstances, what happens if one parent needs to travel. Every agreement that lives only in a verbal conversation is one misremembering away from a fight. And when adults fight about co-parenting logistics, children pay the price. Real situation, the Christmas conflict, every single year across thousands of separated households. The same fight happens in November. We agreed the kids would be with me Christmas morning. No, we agreed they would be with me Christmas Eve and you would have Christmas morning. That is not what was said. Yes, it is. And so begins a 3-week war that traumatizes 2 children who were just trying to look forward to Christmas. A single shared Google Calendar entry made in August. That is all it would take. One parent in our community puts it this way: I document everything now, not because I am paranoid, because documentation is the single most effective conflict prevention tool I have ever used in co-parenting. Minimum documentation you should have in writing. The custody schedule, written, signed, and understood by both parties. Holiday arrangements for the next 12 months, agreed in September before the holiday season begins. Financial responsibilities, who pays for what and by when. Communication protocols, how you will communicate. What app or channel, what the expected response time is. Change request process. How much notice is required and how changes are confirmed. Rule 8. If it is not in writing, it did not happen. This is not about distrust. It is about protecting your child from the fallout of adult miscommunication. Rule 9. Take care of yourself so you can co-parent well. Rule 9. Your mental and emotional health is a co-parenting issue. You cannot regulate your child's emotions if you cannot regulate your own. An exhausted, unhealed, emotionally overwhelmed parent is a more reactive co-parent. And reactive co-parenting hurts children. I want to spend a moment talking about you, not your ex, not your child. You, because here is something nobody in the co-parenting conversation says often enough. Your unhealed wounds show up in your co-parenting every single time. The reason you react so explosively to a late text message is not because the text message is that important. It is because it triggers something older, a pattern of being let down, dismissed, or disrespected that started long before the separation. The reason you feel a physical tightening in your chest at every handoff is not just about logistics. It is grief. It is loss. It is the feeling of handing your child to someone whose hands feel wrong to you now. That is real, and it needs somewhere to go. If it does not go somewhere healthy, it goes into your co-parenting, into your messages, into your tone, into the things your child sees on your face when you do not think they are looking. Real story, Rachel, single mom of 2. Rachel came into co-parenting after a marriage that had involved emotional abuse. Her ex had not been violent, but he had been controlling, dismissive, and consistently made her feel small. When the marriage ended, Rachel carried all of that unprocessed pain directly into co-parenting. Every communication from her ex felt like an attack. Every schedule change felt like control. Every time he was late, she spiraled into the same feeling she had felt for 10 years. She started therapy, not because she thought she was broken, but because her therapist framed it perfectly. You are not going to therapy to deal with your past. You are going to therapy to protect your children's future. 6 months later, Rachel described her co-parenting communication this way. It's like he became smaller, not because he changed. Because I stopped letting what he did to the wife become part of what I do as the mother. Those are two different roles. The wife and the mother, therapy helped her separate them. You do not have to be in therapy to do this work, though if you can access it, please do. You can do it through journaling, getting the feelings out of your head and onto paper before they end up in a text message. A trusted friend who is not also friends with your ex. Co-parenting support groups, online and in-person communities of parents who understand exactly what you are navigating. Exercise, sleep, and the basic physical maintenance that makes emotional regulation possible. Mindfulness practices. Even 5 minutes before a difficult handoff can change everything. Rule 9. Taking care of yourself is not selfish parenting. It is the foundation of everything. A regulated parent raises a regulated child. Start there. Rule 10. The goal is not to win. The goal is to raise a whole child. Rule 10. The goal is not to win. The goal is to raise a whole child. Every decision in your co-parenting life has one question to answer. Is this in my child's best interest? Not does this make me feel better? Not does this punish them? Not does this make me look like the better parent? One question, one answer. We have covered 9 rules and they are all important. But this one, this last one, this is the one everything else is built on. Co-parenting is not a competition. It is not a courtroom. It is not a scoreboard. And yet, so many of us treat it like one. We keep score. We catalog grievances. We build cases. We gather evidence. We measure who has been more inconvenienced, more wronged, more disrespected. We track who canceled, who was late, who forgot the permission slip, who showed up on the wrong day. And while we are busy building that case, our children are growing up, missing things, feeling things, becoming people who will carry the echoes of this time in their bones long after we have forgotten what the fight was even about. There is a question I want you to start asking yourself at every co-parenting decision point, every single one. The question is this in my child's best interest? Not. Does this make me feel better? Not. Does this punish them? Not. Does this make me look like the responsible one? Not. Does this give me leverage for the next negotiation? Is this in my child's best interest? Real story, the phone call that changed everything. I want to leave you with this story. It is short, but it is the one that stays with me. A father in our community, I will call him James, had been in a brutal co-parenting battle for 3 years. Lawyers, mediators, missed payments, missed pickups, a restraining order that had since been lifted. His daughter was 7. Her name was Lily. One night, James's phone rang. It was his ex-wife, someone he had not spoken to civilly in over 2 years. She said, I know we don't talk, but Lily asked me tonight why Mommy and Daddy are always angry, and I didn't know what to tell her, so I'm calling you, because she deserves better than what we've been giving her. James told me he stood in his kitchen for a long time after that call, and then he sat down and wrote a list of every co-parenting rule he had broken. Not to punish himself, to know where to start. He said, Lily is 12 now. She doesn't remember the war years in detail, but she remembers the year it stopped. She calls it the year her parents grew up. The year her parents grew up. That is available to every single one of us right now. Today, Rule 10, your children are not watching you fight your ex. They are watching you show them what love looks like, what commitment looks like, what grace under pressure looks like, what it means to do. the right thing when the right thing is the hardest thing. Give them that. That is the whole assignment. Let me bring this home. 10 rules. None of them are easy. All of them are possible. Rule 1. Your child is not your messenger. Communicate directly like adults. Rule 2. Never speak negatively about the other parent in front of your child. Your child is half of that person. Rule 3. Consistency is the gift your child cannot ask for. Build it and protect it. Rule 4. Treat co-parenting communication like a business. BIFF every message. Brief, informative, friendly, firm. Rule 5. Never use your child as a weapon or a reward. Their access to the other parent is a human need, not a bargaining chip. Rule 6. Show up to your child's events as a parent, not as an ex. Your discomfort for 90 minutes is nothing compared to what they feel when you are not there. Rule 7. Respect the other household. You have jurisdiction over your house, not theirs. Rule 8. Put everything in writing. If it is not documented, it did not happen. Rule 9. Take care of yourself. Your mental health is a co-parenting issue. Rule 10. The goal is not to win. The goal is to raise a whole child. Co-parenting is hard. I am not going to stand here and pretend otherwise. Some of you are co-parenting with someone who is genuinely difficult. Some of you are doing this entirely alone because the other parent simply checked out. Some of you are navigating situations that no rulebook fully covers. And I want to say this to you directly. The fact that you are here watching this, taking notes, trying to do better, that already says everything about the kind of parent you are, the kind of parent your child is lucky to have. You do not have to be perfect. You have to be present. You have to be willing to grow, and you have to keep putting your child first, even when it costs you, even when it is unfair, even when nobody is watching and nobody is giving you credit. That is what single parents do. That is what this community is about. I am honored to be doing this work with you. If this episode helped you, even one rule, even one story, please leave a comment below. Tell me which rule hit hardest. Tell me where you are in your co-parenting journey. Your stories help other single parents in this community feel less alone. Share this video with one co-parent who needs to hear it today. Not to send a message to your ex. Share it with someone who is struggling and needs a roadmap. Subscribe and hit the bell. New episodes every week. Next week, the legal side of co-parenting, what your rights actually are, and how to protect them without destroying your child in the process. You are not doing this alone. This community has you. I will see you next week. Take care of yourselves and take care of those kids. Single dad, single moms, DSM. You are not doing this wrong. You are doing it alone.